Now these tips are very, very, very simple tips, and if I can do it, you can too. What's up guys? Thank you so much for tuning into my channel. In this video, I'm going to give you guys 7 tips / habits that helped me graduate college with a 4.0. Now, these tips are very, very, very simple, and if I can do it, you can too. You know, I feel that college is such a good time to figure out exactly who you are, figure out what you value, and experience things that you're probably never going to get the chance to experience again. And by using these 7 simple tips, I was able to fit college into my life and not the other way around. You know, I had a good time in college. I was able to have a lot of fun, make meaningful friendships while doing well in school. You know, these 7 tips that I'm about to present to you guys can help you alleviate any of the impending stress that you may get while starting college, and it can make you have a worthwhile experience. If you like content like this, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get updates for whenever I put out new videos. Please comment what type of content you would like to see, and give the video a big thumbs up. So let's begin. Now, these 7 tips are under this method called the FINESSE method. I think finesse has a really bad connotation. You know, when we think of the word finesse, we often think of negative thoughts, you know, like this person got scammed, blah, 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 blah. But for me, finesse is not necessarily a bad thing. So before we begin, let me read you guys the definition of finesse from a very credible source. This is the gold standard when it comes to defining words. Urban Dictionary defines the art of finesse as the unique ability to maneuver seamlessly around people or objects in a smooth manner. So to me, finesse is about working smarter and not harder, right? It's about being able to make the most of what you have. So for these 7 tips, we're gonna break finesse down into each letter and use it as an acronym. So to begin, the first of the 7 tips that I'm gonna be giving you guys, it's finding old material. This is something I didn't know was possible before starting college, but old material looks something like old exams, old quizzes, old notes, old lectures. The reason to have these old material is to have something to refer to. You know, it's to be able to see how someone else might have interpreted what the professor is saying. I feel like having old exams particularly and quizzes are very, very important, because with these old exams, you can then test yourself and see, if I were to be asked this question on the exam, could I get it right? You could test your understanding of the material, and the goal is not to memorize what's on this old exam, because most of the time these questions are not going to be what you see on the exam. But the goal is to understand if the material is sticking into your head and kind of see where your weak points at and what you can work on. The second tip that I'm going to be giving you guys is incorporating practice problems. If you could leave this video with one thing, it would be incorporating practice problems. Now, you know, practice makes progress, right? And perfect practice makes perfect. That's what I believe. In order for you to see if you're progressing, you need to practice. You can't just keep reading lectures, keep reading a textbook, keep watching videos without trying to quiz yourself. The best way to learn is active learning. You know, putting yourself in a situation to where you test yourself to see if this information is sticking into your head. Now, I would say that in the beginning stages of your studying, doing practice problems, you probably won't be getting as many right, but nearing the end, the closer you get to the exam date, you should be aiming for about a 90% on every single practice test that you exam or practice questions that you take. So incorporating practice problems is the second tip, and I feel like it's probably one of the most important tips. So the third tip I'm going to be giving you guys, it's networking. Networking is so important, and this is not just in the classroom but in life in general. I really do believe that at the end of the day, it boils down to who you know and not always what you know. You know, networking looks a little bit like reaching out to classmates, talking to students that have taken the class, talking to the professor. From reaching out to classmates, you have someone to struggle with. You have someone who's going through the same thing that you're going to, someone to ask questions to. Reaching out to old students will enable you to see what they did that made them successful in the class. And for students that weren't successful, see what they did and what can you learn from them and what can you do better than they did. Networking even involves going into your professor's office hours and trying to ask them to explain something better to you, or just trying to get to know them a little bit better, because at the end of the day they might eventually have to write you a letter of recommendation. You might need to do research with them, and you never know where people will take you. So I feel that networking is very, very, very important. The fourth tip that I'm giving you guys is engaging with the class. By this I mean going to class, being ready to ask informed questions. And how can you ask informed questions? You can do so by preparing before you come to class. So one thing that I did sometimes was looking through my lectures, seeing what was going to be covered, maybe putting points next to things that you're not very strong on. You have no idea what they are. So whenever the professor does get there, you're kind of focused a lot more on this. Having an idea or a general idea of what's going on in the class before showing up will allow you to understand the things a bit easier. You have a first pass of information, so the second time you're seeing it, it makes a little bit more sense, and it will allow you to ask more informed questions. It'll allow you to answer possible questions that the professor will ask. Engaging with the class also means talking to your classmates, right? It means getting to know them and possibly forming groups to work with them. So the fifth step that I'm giving you, and by far my favorite step, is self-care. Self-care is not selfish. Self-care is not selfish. Self-care is not selfish. Self-care is probably one of the best things you can do for yourself. And self-care looks very different for everybody. For me, self-care looked like waking up at 5:30, going to the gym, coming back, meditating, praying, just being very mindful throughout the day. Sometimes for me, self-care was not studying because I just didn't have the right mindset to study. Sometimes self-care was eating that slice of pizza, eating that ice cream cone, or like eating the whole ice cream tub. And sometimes it was going out with friends, just hanging out with friends and having fun and just forgetting about school. You have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of your body, because once you take care of your body, you're taking care of your mind, and you can't have a sharp mind without having a sharp body. So self-care is very important. I think it's important to take some time out of your very busy schedule to take care of yourself, and to kind of regroup, recenter yourself, re-energize yourself before you can start the week, before you can go ahead and continue studying or whatever you may be. So again, for me, self-care is probably the most important thing you can do for yourself. And again, like I said, self-care is very different for everybody. The sixth step that I'm going to give you guys is spaced repetition, or spatial repetition. Spatial repetition, spatial repetition. So spatial repetition is something that's very, very important. In order for you to really be able to memorize something accurately, it's seeing it over and over and over again. It's like a song. If you hear a song over and over and over and over again, you'll find yourself memorizing these lyrics without even trying. So I really like to apply that to school. The more you see something, the better understanding you have of it. So spatial repetition looks something like, right after lecture, maybe reviewing what you learned. Even before lecture, reviewing what you're going to learn in lecture. After lecture, review again. Then the next day, review, and then review until you feel like you have a strong grasp of the material. A very, very good spatial repetition app that I found out about my senior year of college is Anki. Anki is an app kind of like Quizlet, but it's better than Quizlet. It utilizes spatial repetition and kind of helps. It has this algorithm that has been tried and tested, and it works. But it utilizes this algorithm that helps you memorize literally everything. People use this for memorizing language, studying for the MCAT, studying for Step 1 exams, and I'm not advertised. They're not advertising me right now. Actually, I don't think anybody would ever be advertising me. But actually, no, let me rebuke that. Someone will advertise me one day. Spatial repetition is very important, and I feel that you should utilize it in everything you do, especially your studying. The 7th tip that I'm going to give you guys is executing. One of my favorite quotes is by Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. He said, "I want to be the best, simple and plain." So by executing just have the mindset that you're here for a reason, right? You've worked to get to this point, and you're going to keep on working to get to the next point. Executing for me is making a plan for yourself and sticking to that plan. Is about having that lion mentality, if that makes sense. Just having that hunger, trying to be the best version of yourself, trying to be the hardest working person in the room. It's about executing. You might wish that, oh, I wish I have this, I wish I have this, but if you don't have any plans to actually get to these wishes, they're just gonna stay wishes. So execution is really getting up every day and going out there and doing what you have to do to be as successful as you can. Again, quick recap. The first tip is finding old material. Second tip is incorporating practice problems. Third tip is networking. Fourth tip is engaging with the class. Fifth tip, which is my favorite, is self-care. Sixth tip is spatial repetition. And last but definitely not least is executing. And these 7 tips really made a difference for me in college. And I feel like it really would make a difference for you. If you found this video useful, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video with someone either in high school right now, starting college, or someone in college, and show them that you do care about them and care about their education. Thank you so much for watching this video. Again, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Here's to much love, peace, and positivity to you all. Peace.